Hi folks, and welcome back to the plot. At the end of February, it's felt dangerously like spring recently. Today it is absolutely freezing. A mini cold snap, nothing too dramatic. But I thought it would be really nice today to just have a bit of an old-fashioned plot tour. It's been a little while since I just showed you around the plot. It's not looking too nice at the moment. There's lots and lots going on. You've seen things on the new plot. You've seen some of the stuff that I'm doing back home with the seedlings. You may or may not have seen a little project that I'm working on in the back garden. You probably haven't seen that yet, but you might have noticed my whole approach to video making has changed. I'm getting videos out just all the time when I make them, and it is fantastic. I just feel so great at the start of this year. But yeah, like I say, we'll spin you around and have a little bit of a chat about what's going on. If we've got time, I might do a little job here or there. We'll see. I really hope you enjoy. Let's just start in the greenhouse. There's sort of still a lot of aftermath of the greenhouse build project. You know, I just haven't had a chance to get properly tidied up. That is all just mostly rubbish. I have one very exciting development. Over here we have a little seedling tray, and this is far earlier than I would never ever normally have things in the greenhouse. I really do feel kind of ahead of it this year. And this is a whole tray of brassicas. I've never started any this early. These are cabbages, a mixture of summer cabbages, greyhound and primo, I believe. There's some more cabbages that I've sown up here, slightly different one. They've not come out in the pots yet. I am a little bit worried about these onions. Quite a few of them have died back. These are the ones I sowed on Boxing Day, Bedfordshire Champion. They're just not looking too healthy. Maybe too much water. I did not plant them very well. I will admit that. I don't think I planted most of these deep enough. You know, beginner mistake, never done onions from seed before. I have got a second set at home, so just in case, and I'm very, very glad that I did. There are some onions down here that look a little better. This is a mixture of Bedfordshire Champion on the left and some reds on the right. And further down, we have the first broad bean germination. These were actually sowed in a video, so I can pop the date of when we took that, but Jess sowed these, so I can blame her for the fact that they haven't yet germinated. I'm not too sure why. I was a little bit worried that maybe a mouse had got in and eaten them, but no sign of any of that. And we've just got our very first green shoot today, which is really, really exciting. But yes, the rest of the greenhouse, I mean, it is just a complete mess at the moment. I did make a little bit more mess when I was searching for those pots the other day. I just need kind of 5 minutes to get in here and give it a quick tidy. There's nothing too dramatic. My routine at the moment really is, I finish work I aim to finish around 3:30 or 4. I sometimes get caught late, but as soon as it hits 4 o'clock, I try and get out that door, either to do some gardening, some things at home, or to get down the plot. It's been about a week since I really spent a lot of time on the plot, but over the weekend, I did do this. One of the compost bays is half finished. Yes! In true JB fashion, I've taken my time over this build. And this is, in fact, what I was looking at putting on top as a lid. And then one day I think actually it was as I was editing that episode, I went, wait a minute, why am I worried about putting the heaviest lid on when I could just use it as a front? And you can see it's been coated with the Proplex, and I think it looks much, much nicer. At the moment, I did kind of think about trying to hinge it or something, but at the moment I've just got a little twisty wire that's simple enough to get out. What I might do is put some bolts through here and some wing nuts, so I can just easily undo those, put a couple in, and on the other side it's just hinged with those wires as well. I was for a while having the foxes and things come in here, lots of food waste, a little bit of timber in there. Might put some wood chips in as well, right at the bottom, just to kind of soak anything up. And before this was latched into place, the foxes were coming in and pulling just everything out all the time. The plan is to get all of this, which has not been degrading very much at all, back in there, re-energize it. I will as well be hopefully getting the mower out very soon to do a lot of grass cutting on the second plot especially, which will give me lots of nice grass clippings to energize the compost and really get it fired up. It's one of the reasons that I really do like grass paths. Compost, let's talk about compost. This New Horizon compost, this is I think, the culprit of my chilies' slow growth. And I used it a bit in pots last year, and it was okay, you know, it was okay. I started off with wicks, peat-free. That was shocking. This stuff was kind of okay in some of my pots, my sweet corn, my chili peppers, but they didn't have the best year, and I am blaming this. I think a lot of people's problem with New Horizon is the inconsistency. I know that in the past I've had good bags of New Horizon. I've grown things in it very well, and last year not so great. I have as well kind of not stored this particularly well, so some of the bags did get quite waterlogged, and I think it's just a bit rubbish. I think I'm kind of reticent to even put it on the beds. You know, I don't really know what to do with it at the moment. But the stuff under it from the compost centre, well, there's a little funny story here actually. I'm going to spin you back around again. So I am, like many gardeners at the moment, pretty fed up with rubbish compost, kind of inconsistent results, never knowing quite what you're going to get. And I heard really good things about this compost from the compost centre. They call it compost, it's sold as kind of a soil improver, but it is just really well rotted horse manure. They're very transparent about that, it's not a secret. I was able to get these for £3.50 a bag, which is amazing, but there was a catch. And the catch is I had to order about 50 bags of the stuff so that they would deliver all the way down to me here on the south coast, because they're based in Surrey. And what's funny about that? Nothing. But what is funny is I walked into our Allotment store the other day, and what did they have for sale for £4 a bag? Compost from the compost centre, this same well-rotted horse manure. When I spoke to the guys at the compost centre, they said, well, we don't really deliver to your area, but we've got a big order down there anyway, so we can stop off. Where were they delivering to? Our bloody Allotment store. Actually amazing. So I could have probably saved a fair bit of money on that massive order, but I'm going to have manure for you know, a long time. I've got a lot of manure, and it is really good because I'm planning to go kind of no dig on the new plot, and it's just going to make life so easy being able to tip those out. They're massive 80-litre bags. As for the rest of the plot, well, it is kind of a sorry sight. I have still got pallets lying around, still a bit like a construction zone, because I do want to replace the left-hand side of that pallet and get it coated and nice. I am so happy with this. I'm really excited to be able to control the compost much better. I do still want to put a lid on, but I can do that kind of ad hoc. Look at these. The leeks are actually growing. I hadn't noticed this until literally a few seconds ago when I looked over and went, hang on a minute, these have actually started putting on some growth. These were absolutely really puny before winter, and I thought, I'll just, you know, we'll see. I'll try and get them through winter. They might put on a bit of growth come spring, and sure enough, they have. They've still got a long way to go before they're really worth harvesting, but they look pretty healthy. No rust, no sign of leaf miner. Touch wood, and hopefully over March they can start putting on some nice growth, and hopefully they won't go to flower. I've still got lots of bits that I've left for the insects and wildlife, but things are warming up, so hopefully these will be on their way now. And really, it is a job on the to-do list to get these beds mulched. You can see I've been going through keeping them weed free, which is quite nice and quite rare for me, to be honest, but they're all going to get a really good mulch. The brassica patch is looking a bit sorry because I took the netting off, and the pigeons have had quite a go. I was saying about this on Potty Mouth recently. I always do this. I always remove the netting when I think the cabbage white threat is gone, but at the same time, this is kind of a write-off. I'm not really expecting anything from here. I've got one purple spraying broccoli plant, which is not much when you think about harvesting this stuff. So a little bit of a write-off on the brassicas. You know, if I get anything, I'll be happy, but at the same time, not the end of the world. This one is actually a perennial cabbage that was given to me by Liz Zorab. I think it's a Taunton Dean kale, and it's been very slow to establish. We did have that really hot summer with all the drought, so a few things were very slow to establish. But I think that's just about ready. When spring warms up, it's going to have lots of nice new growth on it. Although the pigeons are leaving that one alone, which does make me wonder if it's the tastiest. The no-dig bed looking pretty good. It's definitely dried out a bit. It doesn't have that lovely dark appearance that it did when we first put things on. The foxes have been digging around in here, and I do need to just mulch the last bit. What I have done, this bit is mostly manure that I composted down myself, and then the second half is going to be the bought-in manure. I have as well, you might have spotted this in the background of some of the videos recently, but I found these metal shelves and they are really, really wobbly. They are really, I don't know if it's going to come across on the video, but they're not very structurally sound. So I think I might be able to sort those out. They were basically abandoned on a plot and someone said I could have them. So I thought, why not? The new greenhouse. Oh, just look at it. Oh, look at it in all its glory. After all the hard work, it's there. Oh, I'm just so happy with this. Every time I come to the allotment, I just go and stand in there like a sad act and just enjoy the moment. Let's do it. Let's go in there. It's just great. It's just so great coming and just standing in here and really just savouring it. It's still a bit surreal, to be honest with you. I'm not quite used to it. There's still work to do in here as well. I've stored a few things in here. The quad grows. The plan is to put some raised beds in here. But now I'm looking at the quad grows and I'm thinking maybe dedicate like a bit of an area, have it paved or something like that. That gives me a bit more versatility. I'm not 100% sure. I'm still not 100% sure, but there's definitely going to be raised beds in part of this. Plan is for tomatoes in here. I've repeated that so many times. I'm bored of hearing myself say it, so sorry. But yeah, it would be maybe nice to have a little more versatility, maybe a little space for seedlings. We'll see. We'll see as it develops, you know, we'll kind of use it as it's needed. It's still quite early in the season, so I'm trying not to panic. I know the season is getting close, but I'm trying not to panic. If you're enjoying today's video, you can check out my Patreon links in the description if you want to support the channel. A massive special thank you to my chili pepper tears. Chili pepper tears, no. That's what happens when you eat a really spicy pepper. Special thanks to my chili pepper tier patrons. It's amazing that I don't say that incorrectly more often, but my chili pepper tier patrons, Tony C. Smith and Michael Ryan. Wow, it's all going wrong. But one other thing I've been thinking about in here is permanent supports for the plants. I really want to get something in here that I can just string things down off, you know, and it's a little bit tricky actually when you've got one of these kind of, this is similar to a Hall's greenhouse, it's a mystery greenhouse, I'm not 100% sure, but there's no rafters that go across or cross beams or anything, you just get these kind of 3 rafters. And I've been experimenting with mirror hangers, and I'm going to try and get like a good, fairly permanent solution, and there will be a video on that when I figure it out. I've got something planned. I've tried something here with, but I don't think this is very good, and I want something that will kind of run the length. So watch this space. I'm going to come up with something. Oh, you could let me know in the comments, but that feels a little bit like cheating. It's one of those things, I find there's loads of videos on YouTube about polytunnel supports, but not so much for actual greenhouses. I don't know if we should go and look at the new plot, because I filmed the new plot tour just a few days ago, and I'm not really sure that there's much else for me to show you on there. I can show you some more of my tired looking beds, which I'm trying to disguise a little bit. There's some spinach there that's still alive. And this, I've not showed very often at all. This is also getting mullered a little bit, but this is my tree cabbage. Once again, another one that I got from Liz Zorab, and this has really struggled. Partly due to me, but also partly due to acts of God. When I first started the greenhouse build, so it didn't put on too much growth through summer. Like I say, difficult summer. Not sure it loves where it is, but hey, I had here the wheelie bin, and it was full of all the stones I used for the foundation in here, linked to the greenhouse build playlist up here. And one day I had put a big bit of wood on top of there. It was actually this, but ×2, because it's broken since. I put it on there just to stop the water going in. We had really windy weather, it picked it up, and where did it go? Bang, straight on my tree cabbage. Do you know, it might actually have been this bit of wood. But it's survived miraculously, so hopefully once again come spring I can actually do something with that, the apple trees I have actually pruned. I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell on camera. I always kind of want to do a video on pruning the apple trees, but it's just so difficult to show what you're up to on camera. I have been quite drastic with this thing because it wasn't really pruned for about 3 years. But this year, it's the first year where I've given it a little bit more, you know, a little bit more of a tinkering. You know, I haven't really cut off anything too dramatic. What I have been doing this year mostly is taking out things that are too low to the ground. There's just lots of weird things on this tree. One thing you want to avoid, generally speaking, is like here, where you've got a branch coming out at a right angle. It's sort of, I think it's kind of okay because it then goes up this way, but when you've got them at a right angle, it puts an awful lot of pressure and strain on the branch itself. What you really want is more of this, the 45-degree angle. And yeah, there's just all sorts of, I'm gonna try and whip it into shape. This is like an old Discovery. I think it's a Discovery apple. It's very, very early, and you can see it's getting pretty tall. I have no idea what rootstock it's on, but it does give very, very nice apples. So we'll see. We'll continue to see how it develops. One thing I'm really excited about this year is the meadow area. Looks like nothing at the moment, does it? But give it time, and we'll get there. And then the new plot, the plot extension, like I say, done absolutely nothing, but I am gagging. I am gagging to get on here, but I'm telling myself to slow down, to not rush into things, because it would be really easy to start way too many jobs on here, and it's not necessary. I don't need to start on here just yet. I can get these beds ready really quick, just running through them with a cultivator, cardboard, manure, whatever. They can be planted into if you do a really nice thick mulch, lots of cardboard, and I've got the mulch, I've got the manure. So, you know, there's no seedlings that are screaming to get planted out just yet. So I'm just taking my time, giving myself a breather. I want to focus on getting things like the compost bay built first and all that kind of stuff. My Lord Lambourne apple tree that I planted, this just looks so great. I am so excited to have a tree that I've planted, an apple, and that I'm going to be able to shape the way that I want. We do have an issue at the moment where it's turned into a double leader already, and that is not what you want at such a young age. So next winter I will probably come through and take the weaker side off. This one at the moment is the weaker one, and then we'll have it as a central leader for quite a while, yeah, until it gets to at least around head height, I would think. I think this is on an M25 rootstock, so kind of mid-sized. It's not quite a dwarf, but it's also not quite a full-size tree. Sort of like a small, big tree. A small tree, a large tree the size of a small tree, or a small tree not quite the size of a large tree. I don't know. I am speaking gibberish, but that is the plot. I think there's still plenty of time though. It is quite cold. So what I'm going to do is get mulching. I've got the mulch ready to go in the bags, and I'm really excited. I'm hoping. I mean, there's nothing better, is there, than the sight of a freshly mulched bed. And all I've ever had is my own homemade compost, which it does add goodness and life back into the soil, but it just doesn't look the same as properly well done compost that you can do on a much bigger scale. So let's get mulching. I'm going to start with finishing up this no-dig bed. It is a magical sight, isn't it, when you see when it looks so dark and rich. I know it looks a bit messy around the edge, but that cardboard is kind of overlapping where the bed should actually be, so I'm not too worried about it. And that's 3 bags, so it's really, really deep. But these beds are in dire need of nutrition. It is surprising me, you know, how kind of slightly tired that looks. There's a little bit of my own homemade compost mixed in there, which might be why it doesn't look so great, but hey, I'm hoping this is really going to lead to good things this season. I meant to mention the netting that I've just literally unceremoniously draped over my broccoli, my purple spraying broccoli, just in the hopes that it will help it through. But I'm going to use the other bags of manure that I've got left just to get mulching on the rest of this bed here. And then there's loads at home that I still need to bring up in the car. I should say, I'm not laying a cardboard mulch on here. I could, but the weeds on this bed are relatively under control. Like I said earlier, I have been going through and mostly keeping on top of here. And fertility in this bed wasn't too much of an issue, so we don't need to go as deep, but it'll still be good to get this fed. This must just be one of a gardener's most favourite things to see. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's a freshly mulched bed, something that's been freshly fed and energised, or if it's those first seedlings that you first see. I mean, it's a pretty close one for me. When those brassica seedlings start bursting, and your lettuce seedlings and your chilli seedlings, it's just beautiful, isn't it? It's just so exciting. I am so excited for this year, honestly. I'm almost beside myself. I'm really hoping that this kind of stuff is gonna set me up for a much more successful year in terms of harvests. But mostly I'm just hoping that I enjoy my time in the garden. Do you think this is enough feed? This is about a third of one of my big beds here, and this is about 260 litres of really well-rotted manure. It's not perfect, there's still the odd clump, but it's completely odourless, it smells really sweet and earthy. I don't think there's anything to worry about in here. I have done aminopyrrolid testing on this, I should say, as well. But we'll leave it there, shall we? Because I'm losing the light, but I'm just so happy. The garden and the allotment really is my happy place at the moment. I'm hoping you're having a fantastic start to your season, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.